You lied to me. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Hello, hello, hello. I am Ari Alistair, and I am a liar. I am so sorry. I was supposed to be making 75 videos in 75 days, and I haven't made a video in like 3 days. I will tell you though, this is a very busy time. A lot of family, and then recovery from family, and then I got sick. But I am back now. Hey, hi, how's it going? This is Inner Monologue, and today I want to talk about reading. I'm a writer. I'm an English teacher. I'm a reader. A lot of what I do came from stories. Stories that I've enjoyed in my life. Stories that I've had to read in my life despite me being a difficult reader. And there's this assumption that students don't like to read. There are, especially like amongst like minority kids, there's a stigma around it, right? A stigma that hasn't gone away that I wish would. But when I was younger and I would read, I got really into reading in middle school, right? And the white kids ignored it. Like, I'm just a girl with a book, minding her own business. But the black kids, it's like they couldn't ignore it. It was always, why are you reading that? Why are you reading? You know you don't got to do that. Why are you doing that? Like, picking up a book was the enemy. Like, picking up a book for me was anti-black. And this stigma moved throughout time with the new generations. And I see it. I see it all the time. I literally will have students. I teach at a school that is majority black, right? And I will literally have students come up to my face and say, why we gotta read? You know black kids don't read. Excuse me, my good sir? Yes, they do. And I make it like a personal goal to take this stigma away from reading and just turn it into a normal part of our world. I told you before that I teach 10th graders. This is a testing year here in Ohio. And still, I understand the importance of making sure that kids are reading and that they find something that they can get attached to. There's this idea, and it's not just adults think that kids don't want to read, it's also kids think that kids don't want to read, that kids think that they don't enjoy literature. So they quit. Right away they quit. Also, there's this like idea, especially amongst boys, that this idea that you're naturally supposed to be good at everything that you start. Is the reason I'm a volleyball coach as well. It's the reason why I struggle so hard to get boys into volleyball, because volleyball is a skill that you have to practice at. No one is naturally good at volleyball. There are so many techniques that you have to learn and get down. It's not a natural thing. But the boys, they'll walk into the gym and they're like, oh, I'm not naturally good at this, so I'm not doing this anymore. It's the same thing with reading. They'll start reading. They'll come across a word they can't read. They'll stumble a bit. They'll find out that it took them a long time to get through a page, and they're like, I'm not good at this. I'm done. I ain't gonna do this. Or like me, in elementary school, when they would do those like timed reading tests, every time I failed. I failed every single time. It wasn't because I couldn't comprehend what I was reading. It wasn't because I couldn't read what I was reading. It was because I could not read enough words quickly enough out loud. And reading out loud has never been a strength of mine. Reading fast has never been a strength of mine. Reading, I'm okay with. But because I could not abide by their test and pass the test that they designed, I could not read according to them, and I had to go to like specialized classes for reading. I had to get pulled out of my class and go to another classroom for reading lessons. To which that teacher immediately noticed, oh, hey, guess what? She can read just fine. She just can't read out loud. So it's all kind of things that like get these kids to stop and be like, oh, this isn't for me. I can't do it. 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 And it never really stops until someone makes it stop. Every week in my classroom, students have to read for 20 minutes every Friday. As stated, I'm not someone who wastes time in the classroom, but these 20 minutes of reading is crucial. For the test, they have to read. They have to read quite a lot in quite a little bit of time. And the only way to improve reading speed is by reading more. It's not something that you're naturally just going to be good at. You have to do it and do it a lot in order for you to be able to read faster. We talk a lot about the literacy crisis. Not we, like, on this channel, but like people talk a lot about the literacy crisis going on and how young people are struggling with reading, but young people aren't practicing reading with physical books in hand. And they need the opportunities to practice that. It's going to be rare to, like, dang near impossible to get everyone to love reading. But what I do and what I've noticed is just that it's not that students don't like to read. They convince themselves that they don't. But it's not that they don't like to read. It's just that they don't know the book that they want to read. They've had experiences with books. They like it. So in their mind, all books are the same. They had to read a book in class one time and it was boring. So, all books must be boring. They read a book about this and then they were like, all books are about this. Not true. So what I do is, although we do read novels in my classroom, we'll read novels, plays, and poetry in my classroom. And graphic novels. But on those Fridays, they choose a book of their own. Whether they bring one in, they can go to the school library and get one, or I have a classroom library as well. This is where most of my books are in my classroom library, not here on my personal bookshelf. So if you ever like look at the background of some videos and like, what kind of nonsense does she have on her shelf? All the good stuff is in my classroom because all the good stuff is there for my students. But they just have to pick a book and read said book, right? I'm sorry. I feel like I have to sneeze. I'm still recovering. I'm still not feeling all the way well yet. Anywho. And what I do is I always try to find at least one person per class. As many people as I can get, but at least one person per class. And I pull them aside and just ask, like, oh, hey, what are you into? And they like, I don't read. And I have to be like, not book-wise, you know? Not book wise. Like, we don't have to talk about books right now. What do you like to watch? What kind of things, what kind of movies do you like? What kind of TV shows do you like? What do you find entertaining? Which this method is getting more difficult because less students are watching TV shows and movies and more people are watching YouTube. So it is getting more difficult to try and pinpoint what they like because long form content in general is dying out. Again, with like the literacy crisis, is equivalent to attention. We talked about attention in my last video. It's hard to hold on to the attention of the youth. There are specific things that you have to do in order to accomplish holding on to the attention of the youth. And a lot of books ain't cutting it. But I'll ask them what are they into. And then I will try and pair them up with a book that can fix that. Not fix that, but fit into that. And you would be surprised the amount of students that I have that love poetry. I just throw a poetry book in their hand and then they devour it, and then they're asking if they can borrow it and take it home, and then they're at my shelf the next Friday with another poetry book in hand. I have like a small collection of poetry books in there and they eat them up. Who'd have thunk? But they hadn't been exposed to something like that before. So once they got the chance to be exposed to it and took a liking to it, they were like, oh, hey, I kind of like this. I guess I like reading. Who'd have thunk? I keep graphic novels in my classroom. Pull them out for some students who are like, I don't want no book with a lot of words. Cool. I got you. And guess what? They might start reading graphic novels, but then they start getting into it, and all of a sudden, because you read a graphic novel about this like fighting guy, you're reading a fantasy book about another fighting guy. Great. It's not that they don't like reading. It's that they aren't given the designated time and the options, the assistance, and I know these kids ain't got will, but like, man, you gotta train them for some willpower because they don't have it. They don't. But when you create a space where reading is the norm, rather than the space that they grown accustomed to, where reading is the outlier, eventually they come around. Because yes, I still get students who will pick up a book and pretend to read for the 20 minutes or so and then immediately put the book down and go on about their life. But at some point or another, I find them. I'd be like, I want you to try this. After I get to know them a little bit more, it's easier for me to match them with books. And the amount, I can't even count the amount of people who walked into my room at the beginning of the year saying that I don't read, I'm a non-reader, who left finding a book that they've loved and trying to find more books like it. And it's not even just my book. My book was a eye-opener for several readers. Blue Lights, the entire reason I published Blue Lights was because I had a student who never read, who sat down every week and read that book. Actually read the book. Started drawing pictures of the characters. Like, he read and enjoyed this book. Got other people to read the book. He campaigned for it. He had no idea I was the author. He just actually connected with this book. And I have been trying to get him connected with any book for weeks. We were about 2 dang near 3 months into the school year before he picked up blue lights. Before I threw blue lights at him. But every week he would pick up a book. He would read a little bit of it, like maybe a page, and then he would put it down and go on to shenanigans. So I have a printed out copy of Blue Lights way before publication. I wasn't even thinking about self-publishing at this point because I'm still deep in the query trenches, and I'm like, well, maybe I got to change some things up to get some people more interested in this book. So I have a printed out copy from Amazon just so I can go back and edit it, and I toss that at him. Why don't you give this a shot? And he reads for 20 minutes, beyond the 20 minutes. The next week he picks up the book again, and he's still reading. He tells his cousin, hey, you know, Miss So-and-so's classroom? Yeah, on Friday, read this book. It's good. Ask her for it. She keeps it on her desk. That was what made me publish Blue Lights. Because Blue Lights was doing something that a lot of other books had failed to do for this kid. And I knew what the reason was. It was one of the reasons why I wrote it. At least wrote it the way that I did. Because when I was younger and I was reading black books, we had a fistful of storylines. We had 2 character types. And if you didn't fit into that, then you just weren't a part of it. But that's what you got. And there's this pool that I have where I say that I want more books with black characters and not more black books. Because when people think black books, they think hood stories. They think racism stories. They think black people problem stories. Like, no, I want a book where the characters have brown skin, but the brown skin is not the conflict of the story, because my skin is not always the problem. There are things that exist outside of the skin that have issues. But there are so many black books that just tell you again and again and again and again that you are the problem, you are the conflict. If this character was not black, that this story would not exist. And that's not what we're asking for. Same thing with LGBTQ. That's not what we're asking for. We should be able to take this character, swap them out for anybody, and still have a story. And Blue Lights delivers that. You have characters who are black, but the conflict of their story is not their blackness. The conflict of the story is broken systems. The conflict of the stories is a broken family structure. The conflict of the story is all these outside sources. It's not the fact that this kid is black. It's the fact that the outside sources see the conflict and chose not to do anything about it. There's a lot of things that get overlooked in our broken systems. And Blue Lights does not straight up ignore their blackness at all. At all. Part of the reason why the system is so broken is because of the stigma that we have. And I talked about this in the previous video, but this idea that black kids, that black people are tougher, that they have thick skin, that they can handle more hardship. So when you see a black person going through some problem, you don't instantly think that they're struggling. You think like, oh, they're strong, they can handle it. I'm going to give you a lighthearted example so it doesn't get too serious, because I can already feel myself tearing up thinking about it. But there was a time when I was like heaving in a lot of things into the school building. Like, I had bags on my arms. One sec. So he been getting a lot of things into the school building. I had bags on my arms. I had boxes. I had a book bag on. I had boxes of donuts stacked up in my arms. And I am struggling. I am oh so very much struggling. So I see a male student that I know and his two sisters, one of which I know. And I called him over. And I was like, hey, I need some help. And he said to me, you are a strong, independent black woman. You got this. Boy. But there it is, though. That stigma that we place upon ourselves and that other people place upon us. This idea of strength. Because we are strong, we don't need help, even if we're asking for it. His two sisters helped me out, and they both got donuts, and then he was mad that he didn't get a donut, but he didn't help me. But there's this idea that we are way stronger than we appear, and we don't need the assistance. We don't need the attention. We don't need the help. We do. And these kids, they're the same way. They put on this front. They act like they don't struggle. They act like they can't enjoy because it's still the same thing. I so wish that we could move past a black kid approaching another black kid and asking them why are they reading a book. And I see it slowly happening, but still there's a stigma. They'll call it white people stuff. And you can't lose this image that you gave for yourself. If you're supposed to be some hard dude out here in these streets, a hard dude ain't sitting around reading a book. There's an image that you're supposed to uphold. So even if you're sitting there bored out of your mind staring at a wall, it's easier for you to stare at a wall and hold this persona than it is for you to pick up a book and try to enjoy yourself. But once you create that environment where the baseline norm is that everybody in here picks up a book, now instead of it being a stigma that you are reading, it becomes a stigma that you're not. It's like reverse psychology, I guess, because now you're an anomaly if you don't read. At least in this space, in this room, at this time, once a week for 20 minutes, you are the anomaly if you are not picking up a book and not reading. And that's what it takes. They don't have phones at the school anymore. So their Chromebooks are not allowed to be open. They don't got anything but time. So read. And let me help you. Because I can help you find something that you might actually enjoy. And not only will you enjoy that, but it makes my day every time when I match a student with a book and they actually enjoy it. I'm not one to advise that you write to the times because the times are always changing. In fact, I say the exact opposite. I kind of have this personal saying that I tell myself when I'm writing because I'm thinking, as gruesome as it sounds, I feel like I am one of those writers who will probably be more known after I'm dead. So I tell myself that every classic was once a contemporary. So I write as though I'm writing for this to be a classic. Which means like not a lot of modern slang. Which means not feeding into the fast-paced action propaganda. Not feeding into the dumb it down propaganda. But I think some things that we have to recognize is that we as writers, when we're writing a book, that's enough. You have nothing to prove. You do not need, this is not a quiz. You're not trying to make it as difficult as possible for people to read it. I find it, like, I've grown from this. When I first started writing, I used to want to put in all these like difficult words. My goal was to impress people with fancy words and fancy prose and make them stop and think about what it is I just said. And that's writing for me. That's not writing for an audience. That's writing for an ego. So now my goal and my only goal really when it comes to writing is keep the character, not to keep the characters, but keep the readers immersed. Keep them in the story. That means writing in plain language. I don't got to pull out all the bells and whistles. I don't need a thesaurus. Write in plain language. So that way they can be with you and feel with you throughout. That means keeping the plot moving, keeping the story moving, because you don't want to just give moments of fluff or just background information that's not doing anything. If the information is not relevant, it doesn't need to be there. If the information you feel like needs to be there, make sure that it's relevant. Because, as I was saying before, environment tells a story just as much as anything else can. So, there should be a reason why you're describing this neighborhood. We should get some type of purpose from it. There should be a reason why you're describing the room, why you're describing the couch. Otherwise, we don't need to know what shape, color, or comfort level a couch is when they sit down. We just need to know that they sat down. Unless that couch is telling us some background information, well, it's telling us some information, like how the couch still has the plastic on it, how the pillows are organized perfectly, how you were tedious to even sit on it because everything just seems so pristine. That tells us a lot about the family and the household without you having to tell us that the family and the household is some like extra neat germaphobes, whatever. Let everything that you say be a part of the story. And then readers will feel like they have no choice but to stay in the story. It helps readers to stay reading, to want to keep reading. So just keep that in your inner monologue. And I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully you will be too. This time I'm not lying to you. Pinky promise. Bye.